Greetings, everyone. I just wanted to jump on here because I'm so excited to see so many of the Dreaming Women and 4am Club members talking about councils and matriarchy and the divine feminine. So Nina, Witchy Healer, Gia Prism, Spirituality with Sam, Intuition Influencer, Kate the Sarge, and myself, we've all talked about this. And it's so exciting when we all kind of tap into the cosmos and get similar ideas, because it just kind of verifies that this is important information, because it's not just one person saying. So my guides have been talking for a while about the importance of community and how we all need to get into community. And they also specifically said that we should get into groups of 4. And some people might call that group of 4 a coven or a council or a circle, but whatever you call it, it's a way to get into community with people. And so ever since I started coming on here, I started reaching out to anyone and everyone who was a 4am Club member, a Dreaming Woman, who I could find on this platform, just to try to connect. And so I've connected with some of these people in messages and emails, in Zooms, in chat groups, and it's just been wonderful getting to know other Dreaming Women. And because the message that I'm getting so very clearly more recently is one of unity, and how we have to come together across differences, whether it's red versus blue, or whether it's orientation or training, or whatever our background is, how we might differ from one another is just a lot less important right now than what we have in common. And so I thought I should talk a little bit about the idea of councils that, in an Indigenous context. Because my heritage, I'm mixed, and part of my heritage comes from the Seminole, which is a tribe that's in Florida, and it's along the eastern seaboard. And one thing that you'll notice about a lot of the tribes along the eastern seaboard is that a lot of them traditionally had women in positions of power, particularly in councils. So councils of like clan mothers or grandmothers, who would be in a very important role in terms of the government. And in a matriarchy, it's not that women are in charge and men are lower than women. In a matriarchy, there's balance. There's balance between the genders. And in Native contexts, the genders don't just include male and female, but they include maybe 3 or 4 genders. And so we have the concept of two-spirit within Native traditions, so that there's a balance not just between men and women, but there's also a balance of genders within the body, because two-spirit people are believed to have both genders within the same body. And this term doesn't exactly translate to something that we understand in English or Western kind of conceptions of gender, but sometimes you can think of gay people, lesbians, bisexual people, transgender people, transvestite, drag queens and kings as fitting within the two-spirit terminology. But none of those terms really adequately portray two-spirit, because two-spirit is not just about gender and sexuality, it's also about traditional role. Two-spirits tend to be involved in the arts, in teaching children, and in medicine. And I am a two-spirit person. And I'm bringing this up because one of the things that my guides told me that I spoke about in previous videos was how we're moving away from a triangular structure to a circular structure. In a triangular structure, there's a hierarchy. Some people are better than other people, some people have more power than other people, and the people on top tell the people on the bottom what to do. In a circular structure, there's no one person who's in charge. Everybody in the circle gets to talk, everyone in the circle gets to contribute. And a council is a circular type government. And this is where we're headed, because as all of us have pointed out in our many videos, this is the time of the rising of the divine feminine. And one of the ways that's going to manifest is that we're going to have a complete change in our government structure and our societal structure. And we're going to move into a structure that's more balanced and more just, because it's no longer going to be privileging a very few people over a large number of people. Shameless plug, while we're talking about balance and two-spirits and matriarchies, I do talk about this in my book on Native American philosophy if you're interested. And all these stickies are because I just gave a talk and I was quoting from it. So, one of the things that, I've been getting is that, the structure that we currently have is rotten, right? There's a lot of corruption. And so it's going to have to be like rebuilt. And what we're seeing in real time is destruction of structures by people for not the best intentions, not because they want to rebuild, not because they want to make it better, but just for other reasons we won't go into right now. But for our purposes, all we need to be concerned about is the future that we're bringing into existence. And in the future that we're bringing into existence, it's okay if certain things are destroyed, if we remember or if we're clear that we are going to be the ones that rebuild them. We are going to be the ones that rebuild them. And when we rebuild them, we're not going to be rebuilding them the way they used to be built. We're not going to maintain the patriarchy. We're not going to maintain the class structure. We're not going to maintain the triangular structure where certain people are at the top and other people are at the bottom. We're going to move away from that more towards councils, more towards collaborative government. And of course, the hard part is getting there. That's the hard part that we're in now. We're in the very hard part. We're in the very challenging part. We're in the part where we have to undergo a lot of chaos, and there's a lot of people who are suffering. And the only thing that's really going to get us through this hard part is for us to remember what our end game is. Remember where we're headed. Remember what our future is going to look like, and keep working towards that. And this is why my whole agenda has been about hope. My whole agenda has been about visioning the future. Because if we can vision the future, if we can maintain hope, then we can create it. But if we become bogged down in despair and hopelessness, we won't be able to build our future. When I come from a number of peoples who've had to endure really terrible things, and yet they survived. And the way they survived was they always had a vision for their children, their grandchildren, the 7 generations. They always had a vision of what their life could be. And they were like, we're going to bring that into existence. Maybe we won't see it right now, but we're going to bring it into existence. And so this is what we're being called upon to do. We're being called upon to visualize the future we want to see, and to do whatever we can to bring it about. And we all have different things that we're doing, right? Some of us are engaged, we're just all engaged in different activities. And no one way is the right way, because we all have different gifts and different resources. And so we all need to figure out what we have to offer to bringing the vision into being. So as long as we're all visioning this future, and as long as we're united, and as long as we're each doing our part, our little part, whatever that is, we will prevail. We will prevail, people. And we just have to keep believing that. We have to. It's the only way that we persist, is if we believe in the possibility of a bright future.